Everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Codenamechanel and I'm back, but clearly I'm back with the story time.
My pimpin' got him hooked, pimpin' got him. I say my pimpin' got him hooked, pimpin' got him. My bad, my pimpin' got you hooked, my bad, I'm sorry. My pimpin'.
I did feel like being a tad bit messy today with the story time. The time where I was in this crazy love triangle. Very crazy. Less. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, then you know it's all love. Get started, okay? So let's just say once upon a time, I was out of a relationship, super toxic relationship. I have a story time on that. I swear, one of the most toxic relationships I've ever been in. Got out the relationship with him and I started dating and I was like in the streets and the streets were fun.
Ooh, this is nice.
The circle that I was in was really small. The guy I was talking to, we met through another mutual friend that I kind of talked to or whatever. And the guy was like, oh yeah, you should meet this guy, whatever, y'all be cool or whatever. Met him and we kind of hung out a few times or whatever. And then he had his own little circle. So what are we gonna name him? Let's name him Dexter. Now Dexter, he was cool. Like but I didn't like him. Like I didn't like him like a romantic relationship. And I kind of let that be known, but then I still was like, we were still like going out on dates and stuff like that. But I was kind of just, he kind of knew, he had to have known like, hey, you know what? Chanel might not be feeling me the way that I am feeling her. So one night I get invited out to a hookah lounge from this other guy who was kind of like trying to pursue me a little bit. Like he was like, he liked me. Like I knew he liked me because this is back when like, you know, people would spam your Instagram and he would spam it. So he invited me to a hookah lounge or whatever. I ended up going to the hookah lounge and I saw Dexter there and then my future ex-husband.
Interesting.
So let's name him.
Hmm.
So let's name him Zero. And I thought Zero was super cute. And I was like, oh my God, he's so chill. He's so this, he's so that. Like, I just kind of was like, I liked him, right? So I go hang out in the section because there's like, we're in a hookah lounge or whatever. If you're from San Diego, you know what hookah lounge I'm talking about. We're not even gonna get into that or whatever. Dexter sees me and he texts me. He's like, oh, why you over there with Zero and, you know, Zero friends or whatever? He was like, them is lame. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, are they? You know, because I'm trying to get with Zero. So I'm like, are they lame? They don't seem lame to me. I want to be with Zero. So see what that's going to be like. So I was like, oh, are they? Like, you know, I didn't know that. So, yeah, he was like, yeah, come over here, blah, blah, blah. So Zero was not talking to me the whole time. So keep in mind, the guy that invited me was Zero's best friend. And I was like, not interested in him. I was like, when I seen Zero, that's who I was interested in. And Zero wasn't even paying attention to me until I got up and went over there to Dexter. So then when I get back, so I went to Dexter, talked to Dexter, whatever. He was just talking all type of crap about Zero and his friends. So then I'm like, okay, whatever. Go back over there to Zero. Then all of a sudden Zero wants to talk to me like, oh yeah, so what's your name? How you know him? I knew from the beginning of this that it, like, me and my best friend at that time knew that it was going to be like a disaster. Like we kind of felt it or whatever, right? But I decided I was not going to let that happen. I made the decision to, so after that night, me and Zero started dating. So I made the lucrative decision, is that a good word? Drop Dexter, okay? I dropped Dexter. I decided, hey Dexter, I'm done. I'm all about Zero. You know, Dexter was not happy about that. He would just talking mess like, oh, really? You like that dude Zero? He's this, he's that. He's like, he's a lame. He just kept saying all these things or whatever. He wouldn't tell me how or why he was a lame. Or if you guys seen my other story times or whatever, like I hate having to connect them or whatever, but I'll just give you guys a little run through or whatever. That Zero ended up being a lying, cheating ass motherfucker. So during this time, like, I will always kind of like run back to Dexter and tell him about, like, you know, things that Zero would do. And he'd be like, oh, like he'd always be like the shoulder for me to like cry on, kind of like that. But it was never, you know, never nothing or whatever. One night I had seen like some messages or something with, this is when I'm dating. So I'm dating Zero. And I seen some messages in his like Facebook or something. Mind you guys, like I was never the type of person to go searching for anything. Like stuff would just find me. I literally was probably like trying to log in, wasn't even trying to log into his Facebook, and probably opened the laptop and there it was. You know, I'm telling you, I was never the type to even search. So don't even think like, oh, Chanel, you were the, nah, wasn't even the type. You know what I'm saying? If it's gonna come to me, it's gonna come to me. But anyway, so I did find something. I ended up calling up Dexter, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go out. Let's go get some drinks or whatever. Let's, you know, go out, whatever. He's like, okay, well, I already been drinking, so you're gonna have to drive his car. So at the time he had like a nice little whip or whatever. So, you know, I drove my car over to his car, and then I drove his car to the club. So at the time he was dating this girl. We're not even gonna give her a name. She's irrelevant. So at the time he was dating some girl, and I didn't know how serious it was. I didn't care because me and him were just friends. Anyway, we get to the club, and he's like, arguing with the girl on the phone. I'm like, oh, just hang up on her. Like, let's just go have fun. Like, forget about our troublesome. And let me tell y'all, this girl, first off, I won't get into that, but this girl ended up just being a complete psychopath. I just want to let y'all know that right now. Like, everything that I thought she was, she ended up being. But nevertheless, that's a whole different story time. So back then, I was young. I had a temper. So what I'm about to tell you guys, please do not judge me.
You were warned. Be afraid, bitches.
Story times are old. If y'all want these old ass story times, I got a million to tell, okay? So I'm in his car, right? And so, you know, we pull up to the club, and he's arguing with his girlfriend or whatever. Keep in mind, I found out that Zero was messing around or whatever, so that's why, you know, I'm in the car with Dexter. Anyway, so when we pull up to the club, we're like chilling in the car for a second just to like peep the scene or whatever. And it's this club in like Kearney Mesa area or whatever. So it's like a parking lot. The parking lot is like right in front of the club. So you can kind of like see cars easily. You can see who's coming in and out. It's not like a downtown area where, you know, you park in the parking lot and then you walk down the street, or you valet or something like that. Like, no, literally it's a parking lot in front of the club, and then, you know, you walk into the club. It wasn't a huge club either. So while we're waiting in the car, whatever, like I'm hearing like honking in the back of his car, and I turn back, and it's like what do you call that? An Infinity, a pink Infinity. Like it's a pink Infinity behind the car. So I'm like, isn't that his girlfriend's? I was like, isn't that your girlfriend's car? He was like, damn, you know, he puts his head down. He's like, so this is Dexter. He puts his head down. He's like, damn, like that is her. And I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, handle her or whatever, right? And so she gets out the car. She's super hostile, and she's like, she's calling me out of my name, like basically saying like me and him is messing around. Keep in mind, we did not mess around, nothing, like at all. Whatever the case is, like that did not happen. And and keep in mind, I'm in the driver's side. So he gets out the car, and he's like, hey, like, you know, he's trying to like calm her down, and she's yelling and she's making a scene. So that's like everybody's looking at the two cars or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to like get out of this situation. Like, I didn't know, like, keep in mind, you guys, I hadn't started drinking yet. The only one that was drinking was Dexter. So I was like, but I still was just like kind of like annoyed, and it was a lot going on or whatever. So I get out and I tell her, hey, move your car so I can drive and leave. And I tell Dexter, like, you stay with her and I'll leave or whatever, right? And she's like, bitch, like, you don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me what to move. I move the car when I move the car. You're driving my dude's car. There's like, you know, being like really ghetto and stuff. And it was quite disturbing. And so I'm just looking, you know, I was like, so are you gonna move the car or you're not gonna move the car? And she was like, bitch, make me.
Girl, you're a joke.
Bitch, make me move the car. So when she said make her move the car, I made a big mistake. I made a huge mistake, and I regret this till this day. I got into Dexter's car and I reversed into her car several times, and I kept reversing into her car. Yeah, because she wouldn't move. So, I mean, not really a decision. I literally just kept reversing into her car, and like, I could hear, like, you know, I could just hear everybody like, what, like, keep in mind, y'all, I'm not drunk or nothing. I promise y'all, I'm very sober, but I guess I was just like super angry. And back then it didn't take much for me to shake the room. Like, I was about a lot of stuff that I said I was about. So, so I started ramming into her car, and then I could hear Dexter like, man, you fucking up my car. Like, stop. You crazy. You crazy. Like, he kept saying that or whatever. And then, like, so finally she moves the car, because keep in mind, so I'm ramming into her car, right? So this is her car. Like, I'm trying to make it, like, so this is me right here. I'm in a parking space and she's behind and she won't move the car. So I just keep going like this to her car with his car. Yeah, I did. So anyway, so she finally decides to move her car, and she's like pissed, and like, I know she probably like wants to get out and fight. So I'm thinking, I'm like ready. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm about to fight her or whatever. So it is what it is. I start texting my sisters. I'm like, hey, look, like, I think I'm about to get into a fight. I just did some stupid shit. Like, you know, I knew I would have made a dumb decision. And I hear someone say Chanel, and it's like a voice that I hear. And it is Zero, you know, the guy that I'm in the relationship with. And he's like, what the hell? Like, he's like, you know, what's going on? Like, so he runs up or whatever. And he's like, are you okay? Because he sees like the car or whatever. But he immediately, like, the concern gets off of his face, because then he sees Dexter. And he is like, I'm telling y'all, I've never seen somebody like so mad, like so mad. Like, he just, it was like, I mean, like, his skin like turned like red. Like, he was like fully red, and he was just pissed. I mean, I was scared for my life, because I was like, okay, now I gotta fight her, and then they gonna have to, then I was like, then he gonna beat me up, and I didn't know what was gonna happen, whatever. So so he starts to try to, like, so Dexter's on the other side of the car, because, you know, when Zero sees me, he comes up to the car, he comes up to the driver's side. So keep in mind, like, when I finally backed his car out, like, I didn't back it out far, because it's kind of like fucked up, because I was crashing it. So Dexter's on the other side, like the passenger side. So I mean, in the speed of freaking light, Zero runs around and they start fighting, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm screaming like, stop, stop. And at this point, like, people's phones is out now, because it's like so much is happening. I wouldn't be surprised if this is on World Star, because so many people's phones were out, and so many people were like, damn, like, all this happened, all this commotion or whatever was happening. And I knew they were gonna call the police. So we hear police sirens or whatever, and Zero's like, come on, like, he grabbed me or whatever, and we get in the car or whatever, and we drive off. And so it's the leaving the scene of an accident for me. It's the leaving the scene of the accident for me. So I'm like frantic. I'm like, I can't leave because I crashed the car or whatever. So I get back to, so after we drive off or whatever, I get back to the scene, and neither the pink car or Dexter car is there. Like, they're gone. So Zero is like, chill, we about to just circle around and see what's up. Nobody was there. So I immediately text, well, there was people there, but it wasn't like Dexter and the girl. They weren't even there. So I text Dexter, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Let me know how much, you know, the damage, everything, blah, blah, blah. Didn't get no response. I didn't get any response back from him when I sent that message. So, like, I waited to, you know, get the response back from him. Never got any response back from him until like probably a week later. And he was like, basically like telling me not to worry about it. And that he wanted to like talk in person. So I had told Dexter, I had told Zero, I was like, yeah, I have to go talk to Dexter because, you know, what happened and like y'all fighting or whatever. He's like, no, you can't talk to that nigga. Like he was really just like, they just didn't like each other. So I was like, you know, why don't y'all like each other? It's not me. Cause everybody always said it was me. Like I was the reason why they hated each other or whatever. And it wasn't like, I was like, it can't be me because y'all hated each other before. Like I distinctly remember at the hookah lounge when y'all were both talking shit about each other when y'all first met me. Like it was so weird. So I'm like, what happened? What could have possibly happened? So Zero didn't want to tell me. Like he was like, I just don't like that nigga. Like that nigga's fake. Like he was like, I just don't like dude. He's fake. He's fake. He was like, yeah, and I want you to stay away from him, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, whatever. So I finally went to go meet up with Dexter, and he didn't have his car because his car was in the shop. And he was basically telling me how the girl with the pink car, his girlfriend ever said she was going to kill me, slash me, dump me in the dumpster, ship me off to Mexico. She was saying all type of stuff. She was saying wild things or whatever. So he was like, watch your back. And my back never had to be watched. She never did anything, you know what I'm saying? So that was her list. But she was still crazy. There were some other things that she had did. But nevertheless, I won't get into that. You know, I was wrong in the situation. I admit that situation. Anyway, so I was like, Dexter, what is it? Why don't you and Zero like each other? Like what happened to make y'all just like hate each other and have to fight or whatever? And you don't know what this motherfucker said? He said that they used to play, I guess, like on Xbox Live. And I guess one day he heard like Zero say like some shady shit or whatever about like him as a player, as an Xbox Live player. And he was like, yeah, ever since I'm like, that nigga's, he's fake. Like, and he was like, he lame or whatever. And I'm like, so all of this is over an Xbox Live game, over Xbox. I swear, it's the ghetto for me. It's the ghetto for me. That's why that's why I've grown. That was 8 years ago. Like literally 8 long years ago, you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that story time. If you guys want any more crazy story times, you know I got you, okay? It's literally my crazy life. And I try not to do recent story times because somebody always commented. Even when I do old story time, people always want to comment and insert themselves in the story time. Like, sir, I changed your name on purpose. Ma'am, I changed your name on purpose. But anyway, you guys, that's it for this story time. If you want more, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram, Codenamechanel, Snapchat, Chanel Kid Herb, and that's pretty much it. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. And I'm out. I'm out. Chat, bye. Okay.